Three companies, disrupting what you know about marketing and branding. Welcome to M Squared.
Welcome back to another edition of M Squared. I'm your host, Dan Ryan with Staten Island Media Group. Joining me always, Anthony Rapp, PRC. Not joining us today, Mike Bloomfield.
What a pleasure.
We're not going to have to spend an hour talking about tech.
Right.
But we do have special guest here, proprietor, Rab's Country Lanes, Frank Wilkinson.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Making bowling sexy.
There we go. So,
Is that really what we're going with? We're going with making bowling sexy?
I just came to it. I liked it. It's either that or we're going to talk about how your hair is better than Dan's. One or the other.
Oh, that my hair's always better than Dan's.
Well, okay.
But Bloomy's not here. That's something Bloomy would say.
I know. So I got to cover for a little bit. But I mean, he prides himself.
so my son, hey,
It looks
listen,
good. It
my
looks
son, Finn wants to have Frankie hair. He talks about it all the time.
Frankie hair, I like that.
Tries to comb it up, make it look good.
And that makes him sad every night he goes home and cries himself to sleep. Tells his
So-
wife, he's like, Carrie, not my hair. Frankie hair.
So, let's talk bowling.
Marketing,
right?
branding. Let's get back into what we do here.
Typically we talk about marketing, branding in a local area here, being able to give back to the community and how that is all incorporated into who you are. So, Frank, legacy business on the island. Give us a little history.
Little? We could talk for hours about the history of bowling
your
here
family
at
could
Staten Island. So it really starts. My dad was a pin boy with my uncle. Together, they needed to make a living for their family and happened to jump into a local bowling alley and say, "Hey, I need a job." And it kind of grew from there. They loved bowling. They loved doing what they do. My father had aspirations to get into the business and got into the sporting goods side and the pro shop side. And then in the late 90s, got into, hey, I have the opportunity to take over bowling center. So we're here at Country Lanes since 1995. He was at Bowling on the Green before that. And so really the history of what's almost going to be the last 30 years has been our footprint in Dongan Hills at what we now know as Rab's Country Lanes.
And I said making bowling sexy again because you're doing a lot more. We're going to get into it. It's not just bowling. You're doing...
Bowling's always been sexy, though.
Yeah, but see, that's where I think the general population disagrees. That's why I'm going to represent the everyman.
I think so.
They're
I
making
don't
it-
terribly disagree with that. Like I might have gone bowling like once or twice in high school on a date or something, but then
On a date. Hopefully.
didn't go bowling again.
On a date.
You know,
Carrie,
maybe
Carrie, I hope
once
that
or
wasn't you,
twice.
Carrie.
No, no. Then it was like probably went like 20 years before I went bowling again. You know, but it's different at Rabs. It's a family center. It's a big. It's
Right, they're doing a lot of
tremendous
things.
complex.
So I will slightly agree with rap only because bowling always had a stigma for a long time, right? You walk into a smoke-filled building with men with their guts out drinking beer. I mean, that's sadly what people thought
Right.
bowling was, and it really wasn't. It always was a family environment for people to go and enjoy, go on a date. The difference is in our marketplace when 20 years ago, smoking was banned. That was like a big turn of events for a lot of our businesses around the country, where that was a big part of, say, oh, hey, I feel more comfortable walking into these facilities. Whereas before, smoking was just one of those things that was accepted, right? It was just part of everyday life. People smoked in hospitals, you smoked on planes, you smoked everywhere. And so we just
My mother used to
assumed
smoke while she was rocking me and giving me my bottle. Who are we kidding?
that explains a lot.
It explains the voice.
Just saying.
You know, so like those are things that people grew and looked at. But at the same time, bowling was still sexy. You still saw it in the general media. You saw it everywhere. And so it's just different today because our business had to transform. I always go back to, there's a book called Bowling Alone. If you've never read it, it's one of the best books you could read. It's not just, it has really nothing to do about bowling, but it talks about society and how our society's changed, the American family. So when the divorce rate went like this and going up, the average American household started doing things at a lesser pace. And so when we look at our business, the bowling business, people were bowling in leagues every night a week. Dan was bowling with Carrie one night. Dan bowled with the guys another night. Carrie bowled with her girlfriends another night. They bowled 3 nights a week between them. Well, then later in life, things changed. They bowl one night a week. And so that's kind of where the big change of our business came from, where I could say there were millions of people bowling all the time. It really wasn't. We were counting Dan 3 times because he was bowling
Right.
3 times a week. But again,
Well, that's like what they do with the advanced CPMs. You know, doesn't matter how many times you've clicked it. We delivered it.
No, that's not
Sorry,
true.
never mind. That's not true.
Come on, that's not true at all.
Tired we talk about.
So, and when you look at where we are today, our business is completely transformed into more entertainment facilities.
Right.
Because we have this big footprint and we have to really change what we're doing to appeal to the mass audience.
So I'm going to take it back one more time. I said that you're making it sexy again because I wanted to segue into what you just alluded to. The fact that you're more than a bowling alley, the fact that you are an integral part of the community, the fact that you're hosting chamber events, the fact that you're doing all these things, because I want to talk about that. That's important.
Before we
For
get into
me-
that, though, I think what you'd find interesting, though, is that like on a national scale, what a lot of people in our local community don't realize is Frank's role and the things that he's done for bowling nationally.
Right.
I would love for you to share a little bit about that stuff with your time that you served on the board and other things, and just really how it's more than just on this island.
Yeah, well, I'll just take it back. I'm a firm believer in that you have to leave the four walls of your business to know anything about your own business.
Right.
So without leaving the four walls, you're never going to understand what's happening outside in that world. And so when I really started, I had that opportunity. I was really working for my dad, meeting new people, volunteer side, and so kind of ran on this track of saying, hey, let's get involved and do more things. And so regionally, state level, and then at the national level, spending some time with some amazing people, you really get to learn about your business and the industry as a whole where, okay, oh, wow, that's what we do here, but wait a second, this is so much more. And so I equate to, I will tell everybody that get involved in your trade association. I don't care what your business is.
Right.
If you don't, you owe it to yourself too, whether it be the National Restaurant Association, and just by attending weekly meetings or monthly or quarterly, or even just going to the trade show once a year, just doing something, and you get to meet other operators, you become a better operator yourself.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so I've been afforded that opportunity to be able to go and do that, and I made the best of it. I served on the board of our trade association. I served as president of our national governing body, which is kind of what Dan's alluding to, and that's the less sexier side because that's the rules governance side.
But that's cool. So you're dictating when my ball goes left or right.
Well, no, that's you. Where the arm goes, the ball
Right.
goes. Just remember that. When you get involved, you really meet new people. You really get to learn so much more about yourself, your business, and that road has helped me so much. I could talk about that all day. I really don't want to, because it's not about that, right? It's about what we do here. But because of what we've done there,
But that's what makes you a better operator here. So it's applicable. So, I mean, I remember even back in Sandy days, I'm just trying to think in my memory of things that were out of the ordinary that you were a part of, right? So I remember during Sandy, you were a major distribution hub for the borough. You're laughing. Now, I don't know if you wanted to do that or not, but I know that Beanie, because we were shipping, I mean, you know, we were bringing tractor trailer full of stuff to you. And other nonprofits were all coming to you. I don't know if you wanted it, but we were doing it, and you acted as a hub. This is not something that
you were there.
associate. This is you being a part of the community. Sure. This is you not being an operator of a bowling alley. This is you being a part of a community where now the people like me who just said bowling wasn't sexy will now say to my wife, let's go bowling. Because I remember that we did this and he was there and he helped the community. Things like that.
So it's funny. So bowling centers are community places. Thousands of people come through our doors every week. More people go through bowling centers' doors than sporting stadiums around the country every year, right?
I believe that. Have you
that-
been to Rabs during like at 8 in the
That's
morning?
crazy.
But really think about it. But so X amount of football games, X amount of people, X amount of baseball games. The more people walk through our facilities every year, and mainly it's daily basis, it's weekly basis, and so it becomes that natural community hub where people gather. And that's the Sandy thing is one really good example of the community coming together. And so you were there, and then we sat in the warehouse at Moss's place and just kind of talk about what's going on here.
Right.
We all got into the distribution business that we knew nothing about.
Right, but it worked because we were helping people, right?
It did.
We didn't need to really know. We just knew we had stuff. We had people who needed the stuff. You were willing to like just give us the
We were
lot
closed.
and everything else. Right.
We had the space. We figured it out. It started with Nazareth saying, our general manager saying, hey, sitting at home, because she's probably the only person that had power up on the top of St. George, on top of a hill, and sending me messages to Facebook and, hey, we need to help people. Like maybe our own staff, there's somebody that can use some help. Why don't we just do a collection within our staff? And sure, so Nazareth puts out this little APB, and it's like, okay, a couple bags show up at the bowling center. I'm like, all right, this is manageable. The next day,
then-
a few more bags. The following day, we come back to the bowling center, and the stoop out front is filled with bags of stuff.
Everything.
And it shows how our community, which is unlike no other, really gets together for some common cause, but saw that there was a need, whatever it might be. Now, some people literally just emptied out their drawers and found a way to do it.
There's always going to be a bad apple in every bunch.
There's a lot of bad apples.
You know that. There's always going to be a bad apple.
There was so much good that came out of it. And then, as you know, you talked about it. You guys helped facilitate pickup stuff, get stuff out. The Advance had trucks that we were able to bring stuff in and out. We had stuff coming in from all over the world that we didn't know what to do with.
Right.
But we set up shop in our parking lot. I could close my eyes and see the people that were there on those days and go, why were they here? How did they? Right. But we had nothing to do. You wanted to help people, and literally we started getting down in the trenches and delivering goods. And it's another example of the bowling center being that common place where people get together and do good things together, but because they have that commonality of bowling recreationally every week, and we call it social recreation, right? Because it's not just getting to bowl.
Social recreation.
Yeah, it's because you're not just bowling; it's everything that goes with it. And then, of course, the givingness of our community.
But to your credit, not to interrupt you, but I have to give you credit because sometimes people don't like to take it. But there are, let's just be modest, 30 businesses within a half a mile radius of you that could have done the same thing. They did not. So you did something, and you deserve credit for it because it was really an amazing thing. So
I appreciate that, but it really comes down to the people that said, "Hey, we want to do this and make it happen." And so it's like you almost get stuck. Like, okay, I guess you say yes.
now what do we do?
But you can always say no, right?
Talking about the space, though, right? Like, think about it. You have the parking lot there, but your facility in general, it's bigger than most bowling alleys. It's probably one of the bigger footprints on the island, outside of the hospitals and things like that.
Well, yeah. So 42,000 square foot building. Wow. 42,000 square feet, 48 bowling lanes, which wasn't the largest. It's been the largest for the longest time, but Showplace Entertainment Center, when they first opened, that was the mecca of bowling. It was 64 bowling lanes. It was designed as this place where you would host events and do things. Today, it's a 32-lane bowling center. It's the other center here on Staten Island, but we've been the largest for quite some time. Before that, Bowling on the Green was 42 lanes. You know, it just shows the testament of time. Hey, real estate has really changed our business, and you go back to the sexiness thing where it never was not sexy, but you didn't always have access to it, and you have less access to it today. Right. Where the real estate has changed completely. Where my local bowling alley closed, I can't walk to my local bowling alley anymore. Right. So now you have to travel a little bit. Staten Island's not that big. Right. You could travel from South Shore.
We still complain, though.
We do. It's like crossing the Mississippi. You got to pay the toll. I get it. There's no reason for it. But it is amazing when people that live at the South Shore feel so connected to New Jersey more so than they do the rest of Staten Island. But you have to give them the reasons to want to come. Right. And so, I mean, that's one of the things that we've been trying, making sure people know that bowling is here. It's here to stay. There's so much more than just bowling. And you touch on it a little bit. We're so many things to so many people. Whether it's the 3-year-old that walks in for the first time, right, googly eyes, light sounds, you have no clue what's going on, to the 99-year-old lady who's bowling twice a week, right, and bowling in her league and enjoying everything that she can. The spectrum is there of all ages and everything.
Now, back to the sexy side, right? We'll keep it.
I'm glad everybody said, why did I open with that? It's just become the main theme of the show.
But talk about everything.
Give me the caption.
Talk about credit. We got it. Yeah, he wanted the credit.
Talk about the evolution you're going through right now. You got a lot of change going on post-COVID and just being able to renovate, revamp, new menu, new space. The bar is fantastic. I mean, it's a huge bar, too.
Yeah, everything about it is
priorities.
Well, you know where that was going. But before you go there, just step back. I'll be the morbid one for the second time because I touched on Sandy and how impactful you are. But now COVID. You know, this is marketing and branding. During COVID, you had the idea that you started your live streams. And again, that was really impactful because it reached so many people who tuned in religiously to listen. Sure. Is it award-winning?
It's award-winning.
I didn't know that.
Telly award-winning.
I didn't know that. Well, congratulations. See? We got to win an award.
You have to get views first.
Oh, this guy.
Views and listen.
Just shots fired. But even more so. So now to learn that it was award-winning, talk about it. Tell us what was the inspiration. What was, it takes a lot to get in front of a camera or in front of a microphone. We know that, but it was actually good content.
Yeah, actually leaving here, I was talking with Nazareth about some nonsense that happened at the bowling center last night. And she goes, "Where are you going?" I said, I'm going to go to a podcast with Rap, Dan, and, well, Bloomy's not here. And she goes, oh. I said, I know. They're not us. I said, everybody's just trying to be us. So, it's one of those things. No different than the Sandy conversation. No different than a lot of other conversations. Everybody says, hey, I got an idea. Let's go make it happen. And one of the things that's been on the whiteboard for a long time was just live content and doing stuff and just spending time. But again, as you know, it takes time and energy and planning to make these things happen. Well, pandemic happens. We didn't really know what was going to go on. Right? We're going to shut down.
Right.
Well, you're considered a lot of different things too, right? As far as
that's an episode in itself.
Necessary.
no, I'm sorry, it's
Because
like
we're an
what-
entertainment center, a restaurant.
restaurant. Could you have people in? Could you not have people in? Were you limited on how many people you could have in?
Did
We
they have to
fell
wear
under
masks? Did they have to take it off when they walked in?
we fell under every single restriction for 2 full years. It was a mess. Anyway, one of the best things and the worst things and best things that happened to us, and I'd say that the same for all small businesses, because you learn so much from the pandemic. But back to the live from Rabs, Nazareth says, "Hey, we've been talking about this. We've got nothing to do. Why don't we just go live?" And I'm like, Are we supposed to be near each other? What are we doing? And we're always going to go back to the bowling center. I mean, this is my place. We still didn't know what was going on. I mean, we still had things to do. We were in the middle of stuff. The bowling season, are we going to end the bowling season now? Or we're going to reopen in 2 weeks, right? I mean, that's what they told us.
Yep.
10 days, okay. And then 10 days came, and 10 days came, and then we're extending. And so we started this and said, hey, let's call some friends. And the first episode we did on the Saturday right after the shutdown. And we called in our friend Bill O'Neill, professional bowler, said, hey, he goes, absolutely. He goes, I got nothing to do.
Right.
And it just trickled from there. We literally were doing this every single day at 2:00.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you guys know, because you copied everybody else. And then so
Wow.
the boys were doing it, we were doing it. And
Copied everybody else.
But it's
Right
great.
out of Moss's speech. He must have memorized it.
It's good. It's funny. These are things we all talk about. We've all talked about it in our circles. But I was sitting there watching everybody at nighttime. I mean, we all did these different things. Sure. And then 7 days a week, Nazareth goes, we still doing? We had this one beautiful day. I was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
We're out today. We had no guest. I said we're in. So we filmed this little silly thing, and then we went to 5 days, and then we went to 12:00 and changed times. But really, over the course of how long it was, and hundreds of episodes, I think we actually captured 1 million views within all that time. People still today say, you helped us get through. I'm like, really? But people had something to listen to. It was really our way to connect people to what was going on, what could be going on. And the day that we got to open, the announcement came on, I think it was a Friday, and we're getting text messages as we're getting ready to go live. So it was the best content day ever.
Yeah, you're ready.
We had no clue.
Right.
But everybody's turning to us like, we're the news.
Yeah.
We're not the news. The governor's up there doing his thing every day with the mountain behind him. Yeah. I mean, he was the news. We just had a cardboard cutout of Andy for a couple of days, and then we got open.
We had a cardboard cut out of him in a restaurant. I knew. There was a restaurant I knew that used to have a
But
cardboard
I'm going to
cutout.
give credit to our fellow bowling proprietors around the state. We spent a lot of time. We really wrote the restrictions and said to the governor's office, hey, we can open. Our facilities are big enough. We can do this. We can do that. And we had them visit facilities. But then we also had bowling proprietors send cases of bowling pins to the governor's office. All we found out is that he didn't like it.
I'm sure.
We don't know how many got there. We never saw them. We thought we'd found them on the mountain. We'd see a bowling pin somewhere. You get to open.
Wow.
Great. Thank you very much. But, and became history. And it's funny. Really, the only lives that we do now have been surrounded by events.
Right.
But as I was leaving today, she poked at me and said, hey, when are we going live next? I'm like,
Soon.
okay.
Probably tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, but it'll be soon.
But one of the things that all the influencers in the space have talked about is consistency, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that was one of the things you were saying. You were at 2:00 every day. And I think that's something about being consistent with your messaging, with your brand. It's what's going to resonate with
And
people.
plus, his hair is fantastic. People are tuning in just for that.
That's what I heard.
That's what I know. So back to Dan's point about you being sort of multifaceted, right? So a lot of people that come in, or a lot of brands that come in, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but I'm going to use the term one-dimensional in that they are a restaurant, or they are a real estate agent, or et cetera, et cetera. You're a living, breathing animal. You have part sports, you have part entertainment, you have part food and beverage service. So How do you compartmentalize or put them all together when it comes to marketing, branding, and getting the message out to people?
Not easy. Certainly not easy.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, it's been very difficult for us, and especially in of late, because you're reaching audiences in so many different ways. And so, how much time do you spend on just food, and how much time just on bowling, and then mixing it? We haven't perfected it. We haven't figured it out. I can't lie there. But you try these different things. Of the last 2 years, we've really made a huge focus and shift change on food. We hired a chef. We really revamped this. We just renovated the whole kitchen space to be able to do more. And so we've been spending a lot of time and energy telling that story. Right. And so our customers that come in on a daily basis still don't even know that. Like, I don't get it, but I pay attention to everything. Like some people,
they don't know.
Wow, that's new.
They don't know.
Yeah, but it's fine. But that's on us. So what are we missing? What storytelling aren't we doing a good job at? So we've been spending a lot of time on focus on food. And so whether it be you can order online and you can call in and pick up. And we have people that come in just for lunch, which is great.
That's interesting. That's awesome.
Because the bowling's there, right? The bowling's there. The
Right.
bowling's the footprint. That's the main part of our business. But at the same time, you can't lose sight of that.
Right.
The main part that we always lose sight of are the parties and events. It's an event space.
Right.
And it combines food and bowling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that becomes the other focus where we lose track. Okay, so we're a birthday party facility, to your point, but we're not just a party facility for a 5-year-old. We're a party facility for a 50-year-old, 60-year-old.
Yeah, why not?
person. We do them all the time.
Yeah.
With baptisms, repasses. You name it. People come in and have done
Repass. That's very interesting.
But just saying, it's a venue
Do they get
to
an
have
hour bowling in?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do they
can.
do?
You name it. We've had weddings. Not in
Do
recent.
we have photos?
Wedding
Do
on
you
the
have
lake?
photos of the wedding?
I do.
That's
I do.
fantastic.
That's cool.
Dan's gonna renew his vows at Rabs. He already did it at the Igloos at Grace.
We'll do it all over the island.
10 years from now,
There's
go over there.
there's definitely advanced file photos of the first wedding. Really the only wedding at Rabs. But
That's great.
That's cool.
That's pretty interesting.
yeah, there's always something. But
Make an
again,
impression.
there's so many things that could happen.
You remember the table hockey from when we were kids?
Yeah.
There's a table hockey league that plays in the bar. It's awesome. It's hilarious to watch.
It's the New York Table Hockey League. They play once a
There's
month.
something for everybody.
Yeah, and they have guys that come from all over the country.
Talk about using and maximizing every bit of space.
Oh yeah, brilliant on your part.
Well, so that's a great point. We talk about this all the time internally. So we have tables, chairs, and lanes and space in the bar and in the front in the rooms. And so, okay, you might not be coming in for bowling. And really, this is a great example. These guys, they just wanted to rent a room, and I'm like, I'm not gonna give up an event space for you guys. You're gonna pay. No. Well, we have the bar. Why don't we just situate you in the bar? We'll pull the tables out and you guys do your thing. And they come in once a month. They eat and they drink. They spend some.
It's great.
It's great. It's just you're looking at your space. No different than having dart leagues and pool leagues in bars where we have on a Monday night, there's bowling leagues going on. There's a party going on. There's people coming in to eat. There's a pool league going on. There's people hanging out in the bar. There's just people hanging out doing whatever it is they want to be doing or just stopping in to use the restroom. We talk about it all the time. I thought we were just trying to run just a bowling alley.
Right.
Just trying to run a
No,
bowling
no.
alley.
You got a lot of moving parts over that.
You go in there at any time of day.
It's always crowded.
It's always crowded.
Always crowded.
And I think you do a lot of work, a lot of charitable work. You do a lot of work with the disabled community on the island, but you also do a lot with education, with kids and people that are coming up through high school, college, and everything in your league. So it's an incredible thing to watch and watch you operate. But I think one of the things that you as a human do that is special is how much you give back through your Rotary group. And the North Shore Rotary it's a tremendous organization on the island, and it's really commendable what you guys do as a group.
The bowling center, as I said, is a community place, and it's natural that it becomes where, hey, something happens, let's go help someone.
Right.
It's always been that way. If you go back, 9/11 is another. September 11th is another one where the community everywhere came together, and in our facility, friends, family that we've lost at regular and. Let's run a fundraiser. Just like this. Somebody says, hey, let's run a fundraiser. And it's just in your blood. It's what you know. As a kid, that's of the things that we did because we had this facility to be able to use. And so we're fortunate to have that space to say, hey, let's go make this happen. And people turn to us. And so you naturally gravitate to organizations like Rotary, where you have a commonality with people saying, hey, we just want to do great things for not only just our community, but really in the world. It's a worldwide organization where we have a meeting tonight. One of the projects we've been talking about, we're helping build water wells in Egypt. We partner with a Rotary Club in Cairo because they don't. There's this town there that doesn't have access to water. I mean, we take that for granted here. We raise money, we match funds. They go make it happen, and then maybe we'll go visit and check it out. But these are things that we do in these organizations.
We got to start doing this at the executive club. We're not donating wells to anyone. We got to get on that.
Frank,
Well, they're all different.
join the executive club.
Yeah, sure. We'll add it to the agenda. Yeah, add it to the list. But there are other service organizations that really do great things in our community too, and so it's nice to partner with them as well.
You do a lot for vets too.
We took on another, because we have nothing else to do.
Right.
We took on another role with my foundation, my father's name, which we started just for our youth scholarship program. And my father was a vet. And through our Rotary Club, we started this program during the pandemic where we were knocking on doors and checking in and on a regular basis with local veterans. We're still doing that today. I have a group that I go visit every 2 weeks. Groceries, it's not about the groceries. It's essentially about the check-in and checking in on this community.
The human touch.
It is, and a lot of times they're forgotten about. And in some cases they're not. And it's just, hey, what's going on? Hey, how are you? And in other cases, it really truly is somebody that nobody else touches them. And through this, we really learned that there's a true need for our veterans. And at some point, you do believe that's shouldn't be acceptable in our community, right?
Right.
These folks go and fight for our country, and we have the base here on Staten Island where we have a food pantry. You think that our own active members of military need.
Right.
So we started another fundraiser, really to not only honor our vets, but to raise some funds. And one of the first things that we're doing with the VA and the local VA is donating VR equipment to basically take them, if they're immobile, you can provide them any sort of experience.
Wow, that's interesting.
This company is fantastic, and
really cool.
they're going to come in and you literally sit there and go, okay, wow, let's go. You want to relive this? You can relive this. You want to go to the Eiffel Tower? Let's go. And just little things that you could do to touch somebody's life who might not be able to do something. And so through this event that we put on in the summertime, this is one of the little things that we're able to do. And so we're excited to get that truly going.
Talk about one of the biggest hurdles you've had to overcome in the business, whether it's from a branding, marketing, what's something that, you said you're a part of this larger organization, which makes you a better operator, which fully agree, but every business has its own sort of hurdle. And I'm not talking about like the COVID, right? Because that was an every hurdle, for lack of a better term. What's something internal that you've overcome and that you've seen and you've said, wow, thank goodness we took these measures, or thank God we made that move, because now we're in a different position. We've become more than a bowling alley, or our brand has exceeded what we've thought.
We have a lot of them.
Good.
A lot of them I can't really talk about.
Cut,
But
strike.
No. It's some of it's personal, and some of it's like, okay, I got thrown into the family business essentially, and I hate to say thrown in, but getting out of high school into college, my father started working from home, and so I wound up filling the void in the bowling center. My oldest brother was doing his thing. My middle brother was in the fire academy, and so we were all kind of doing our own little thing. And it felt like somebody had to do it, and so it wound up being me and saying, okay, let's do this on a regular basis. And at 20-something years, 18, 19, 20 years old, doing more in the family business than you were doing before. One, it's earning respect.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the first hurdles. I'm like, first of all, you don't automatically have the respect of your coworkers.
Well, definitely not.
And your employees,
When
right?
you have blonde hair, it's hard to.
Or when you're 19.
Yeah, right.
Was that sunning or was it dyed?
Oh, never. Only once. That
I
was
love
for
how he
charity.
knows that it's called sunning. I love how he knows the
Because
terms.
some people have done it. I've never. Only once. Oh, I take that back twice, but never on purpose. Not once. Once
I have
on
that
purpose.
photo.
Well, I will come back to that. So you wind up working, and you really have to reestablish yourself. Wait a second. Okay, I'm filling a void here. I'm not the boss.
Right.
At this point, I'm really not the boss.
Right.
But there's a void I have to fill, and so that was a very difficult hurdle for me to go over. And as you go through that process, I had no clue what was going on. I'm learning so much about this business today. And every day you learn, and I'm still learning today, right? It just there's always something. And from that moment on, I was very fortunate to have the likes of Nazareth and some others that were around me and saying, hey, we're here, we're going to make this work and do whatever. And so you start setting goals in place. Okay, we're going to go here to here. I never thought we'd be at a point where our revenue is X and we have 100 employees. When we brought out a birthday cake a few weeks ago for someone, and I said, this used to be like 5, 6 of us singing happy birthday.
Right.
Now you're still trying to get some people to like figure out who's singing happy birthday today. And it's great because we've built the team and we've built the business in so many different facets. And the food operation was one of the biggest ones of recent. And you have to be in charge of your own destiny, I'll tell you that, and especially in a business like ours. It's so big, your overhead is so high, and everybody looks at you, oh, you have all these people in the building. Great.
Yeah.
You have
People
no
don't
idea
understand. Yeah.
what it costs to open up the doors every day.
Right.
And so when you're in charge of your own destiny, you have more control. And I made a comment before where the pandemic is one of the worst things but best things to happen. And for small business, it was a reset button for many. And I will tell you, it was a little bit of a reset button for us, for sure. Without any government assistance and the things that we had in place, we wouldn't be open today.
Right.
There's no way we would have been able to survive 5 months of closure, let alone 2 full years of restrictions of some kind. And so that inside of its own is that other hurdle. So always go back to that humble moment that I had, that I was working behind the counter with our staff and saying, hey, what are we doing here?
Right.
And trying to figure it out. And if you talk to Terry, she's been with us for quite some time. She was with us then, and she goes, well, yeah, I had a 17-year-old boss. I'm not listening to him. And so it's always the common joke that goes around all the time. I'm still the 17-year-old boss.
Well, but think about it. You were going in there, and you were the youngster.
It was strange. It was tough.
Big shoes to fill too.
Yeah, they'll never be filled for sure. But it's that moment where that clarity starts to come, and then over time, it's like, okay. And then how do you get to here? You have these thoughts coming in, and even today, as we're standing here, I left there, and we're doing some other renovation projects. We're working on revamping some party room space and adding a full redemption arcade. And so this has been something that's been 6 years in the process. So of course the pandemic throws.
We talked 8 years ago.
Yeah, but red tape with the city, and then things change, and then the pandemic happens.
Yeah,
and
you had a couple things in the middle that kind of set you back a little.
Yeah, it's crazy. But here we are today. We're just moving right along, and it's been great. I wouldn't. You can't change anything. I never have any regrets. But the hurdles that we continue to cross are always going to be something. And when you work with the general public, you never know what to expect.
No.
So was it Survivor?
Everything's a surprise.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah, everything's
It's every day we walk through the door. You truly never know what to expect.
That's what
And
makes
it's
the job
beauty
fun,
of-
though.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
you
love
never
it.
know what's going to happen.
I love it. And if you watched any of our podcasts during that time, we used to laugh about what day
Yeah,
is
it didn't
today.
matter.
We only know the days of the week by the people that walk through the door.
That's great.
And it's so true. So
That's funny.
I think I answered that in so many different ways.
No, but that's good because at the end of the day, we do try and get some information out of our guests that can be used and applicable to other businesses, anyone listening or watching. Well, you already said no one's listening or watching. Thanks.
I didn't say nobody.
Well, you said not as many as yours. That's what he said. He basically said not
Yeah,
as many as his.
now.
Not as many as his is what he said.
Yeah. Well,
So now we have to
I'm sorry.
track down his analytics and just make sure we crush him. That's what it's
Sorry.
That's all right. Or we'll just have Bloomy hack his accounts and just erase it all.
That's not me. You guys started this.
If there's no record of him existing online, did you ever exist?
So,
Techie geek.
I'm surprised. Like, we're gonna have to fill in Mike talking about himself bowling.
Yeah.
When he used to be. a
You know,
pro.
I used to bowl. I grew up in Brooklyn. we had bowling alleys in Brooklyn.
Like, do you know you could chat GPT a bowling alley?
It'll bowl the ball right down.
It'll
So-
make it seem like a human. Where are we going right now?
No,
what are
so
we doing?
we're going to pull it back. So you've done a lot. You've accomplished a lot. Community member, integral part of everything that's going on. We're not going to list all the organizations. You listed like 2 or 3 organizations that he spoke about. So there's so many more. But talk about where you're going in the next 5 years. What do you see? So what's the future of bowling, and what's the future of Rabs? What do you think? Because to me, I think you're gonna evolve, right? Every day you're evolving and learning. So what do you think is going to be happening?
Yeah, so if you asked me this question 10 years ago, the answer that I had then was not going to be the same as it is today. And so,
Of course not.
And it was funny because we were on this path talking about how society has changed, communities change, and how business is going to change. And even without the pandemic, we thought X. But I will tell you, that big reset button certainly changed a lot. And so 10 years ago, when we were really looking at, okay, what's next? And I'll use our league business as an example here, because it's a big part of what we do.
Right.
And we just had this trend of just people not wanting to commit to something every week at the same time with their spouse or with their whoever. And we were, okay, how do we buck this trend? And so we were looking at filling gaps, and okay, this is good, this is good. We made some significant decisions that said, you know what, we're good with this. I'm actually okay with this, because we'll always have, one of the things that happens over time is that if you called any bowling alley, any bowling center, any facility, do you have lanes at 6 o'clock? No, we have leagues. Click. And so people automatically assume that you could never go bowling Monday to Friday at 6 o'clock.
Right.
And that was our own fault, because at the same time, that was our assumed business. We didn't have we didn't have a product that people were looking for.
Right.
So as this changed, we were like, okay, great. Now we have this availability more often. Great. Well, we're back at this point where it's not that anymore. One of the things as a result of the pandemic, people are getting back together again, and in groups, and they're looking to do things. And so I say that from 10 years to now, that league business, it looks a little bit different, but people are back out doing things and wanting to do things, organized play. And so that's become a little bit change in our model. 5 years from now, things will be great. Rabs will be booming. People will still be going bowling. The experience will certainly look a little bit different. My father always believed in investing in yourselves, investing in your people, and investing especially in your business. And we've been a little bit slow to that in the last 5 to 10 years, mainly because of the costs, the rising cost of everything around us, and then the cost of investment is so different than what it was. Yeah. So whether it be our scoring system, the environment, the changes around you when you walk into a facility, whether it be the sights, the smells, the sounds, those are the things that will change in the pretty near future. But we have to. The only way that we're going to continue to grow and do more things is by making that evolution change. So 5 years from now, you're going to walk into Rabs and go, oh, this isn't the same place I walked into 5 years ago, let alone 30 years ago when Rabs took over. But it was built in 1976, so it's almost, we're going to be celebrating a 50-year anniversary of bowling in Dongan Hills, which was pretty
crazy.
Cool.
So on the record, is it true or is it not true that you are the inventor of cosmic bowling?
False. But as a early adopter, so Cosmic Bowling is a brand that was created by Brunswick Bowling at a time when, if you remember before that, it was moonlight bowling. All we did was turn the lights off and you went bowling.
That's why I thought you invented Cosmic, because I remember the shift. I'm like, what? Look at this.
But we were the first in the marketplace to do that. Okay. So the first to invest in the name Cosmic Bowling, and then, of course, spend the dollars and energy on this music system and the disco lights at the time. We were open till 5 o'clock in the morning then. Yeah. So 1997, 98, 99, we were open till 5 o'clock in the morning when people, it was just one of those things nobody knew what it was. It was new, it was exciting. And now it's just the regular part of
He didn't know anything. Dan was in Chicago, he had no idea. Cosmic Bowling.
But it's funny, you talk about the trends and like being the first. We were early adopters in many different, in scoring systems and furniture. I laugh because you look up at the screens with the scoring system. We were the first customer of Brunswick's to purchase the LED screens. It was like, ooh, LCD. The LCDs. And I was like, ooh, they're not plasma. Right. Like that was a big thing. But that was 2005. And look how far technology has come from just alone 2005. Oh, yeah. And the installation before that were box TVs. Yeah. And so that
computer monitors hanging up there.
Yeah. It's insane when you really look at how it's changed in all that time. And then, now the next generation, they're basically iPads that operate the bowling lanes.
So you invented Cosmic Bowling. Thanks.
No, you've said though, you were the first of a handful of things, right? Like you were the first karaoke spot, right? Or one of the...
So we were, well, not the first, but one of. So George Zip, who's our resident DJ, has been with us for a very long time.
Love that name.
Georgie Zip.
Georgie Zip.
He's been zipping tunes.
Wow.
In bars for
you said it.
Very long time.
That's going to be a great clip.
He was one of the first karaoke DJs on Staten Island and did it within our space at Bowling on the Green. We were running contests on a regular basis. It was just a thing on Friday and Saturday nights.
Serious question. Does he know DJ Hot Dog? Because do you know who DJ Hot Dog is? He's one of the original oldest DJs on Staten Island. You got to ask him.
I'm sure he does.
Ask DJ Zip if he knows DJ Hot Dog.
DJ Hot Dog.
Legitimate thing. I didn't know that.
DJ Hot Dog.
Still lives with his mom and Tom.
Probably, but listen, whatever he does, DJ Hot Dog.
Is he still using?
He's still there. DJ Hot Dog's having a great time.
Still using his vinyls.
Every weekend in front of Freddy's. Richmond Avenue, go find him, go check him out.
DJ Hot Dog. I'll ask him. I'm sure he knows all about it. But yeah, karaoke was, and it's still part of what we do every Wednesday night, Friday and Saturday on occasion. You want to go out and do things, and so you have to provide that. And people do. I mean, karaoke. I've been listening to it since I'm a kid, so I'm immune to it.
It's also fun to just watch people
Probably good
get
thing.
drunk and make fun of,
Yeah, not when you're doing it. It's not really as fun for me anymore.
Well, yeah.
But I enjoy. I say that tongue in cheek because it is fun. I do go into the bar every Wednesday night. I know exactly who's going to be singing what song and what when, and it's cool. And the weekends, it's a totally different scene because it's not necessarily a regular.
It's outsiders like me, strangers walking in. What are we doing over here?
It's good for date night.
are we
It's good for
doing?
family.
Yeah.
Have you done a birthday party there?
I have not.
We
Well,
did
don't
it.
forget, my son only had one birthday party in 4 years, but that's a different story. Because of
kids.
because of
It's
COVID.
terrible,
Because of COVID. What do we do?
And I will tell you, the COVID parents that never had birthday parties, that's been some challenge to navigate for us.
It's untapped market because they're all looking. I'm one of them.
It's true, but it's been tough. I tell you that, and just because they want everything to be right.
Right. Well,
My son never had it. My son or daughter never had a birthday party before.
there you go.
They're not
I
going to
never even
remember
thought
their
of
third.
that.
Trust me, they're not going to remember their third
man.
birthday.
My
But make it as
wife.
fun as possible.
Wow. But and she would tell me, like, I'm his father, I know. Like I was there. I know he didn't have a birthday, but you don't understand. I'm like,
You know how much money we saved?
because then that's that's a different story.
House parties.
Because we didn't do anything, so I had to take them to Disney World,
Oh,
which was
well,
fantastic.
you lost money.
And then immediately thereafter, when he was allowed to have a birthday party, we had this huge thing at Mount Loretta, which was fantastic, beautiful. But listen, you never save money. It's all right. It's only money, right? You make more. Who cares?
That's true.
You
You're
just
right.
make more.
It just
Tomorrow
brings
you wake up, you work harder. Right? That's what Dan does every day. He wakes up, works hard, combs his hair.
It's the hardest part of my day. Hardest part of my day. Frank, you're active with your social media, outside of what we're talking about with the podcast and the web series and stuff. What's the best place for people to find you?
Best place for people to find us certainly is bulletraps.nyc. It's our website native to everything. But I'll tell you, our social media, you should be able to find everything and anything. And all of our platforms were at Bullet Rabs.
Done right.
And
Done right.
That's what Bloomy would have said. You did it right.
But back to firsts. We were one of the first Staten Island small business to have a website.
Is that right?
So if you go back to the machine,
The machine.
what's the website? The Wayback Machine.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
search old websites and you'll find back to 1995. We had in the beginning 95, 96. In the beginning, of
That
our
was when it
business.
had to be built with like Dreamweaver and CS. Like you really had to know. You know what I'm talking about?
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It would take like 3 weeks to just build like a click button. Like, oh, there's the icon. You're like, yeah, we got
You
it.
were like 12.
We got it.
Right?
We got the click.
Somebody had to figure it out and do something using. Microsoft had what was Microsoft's program?
I don't know. Dreamweaver was the standard.
Dreamweaver was the other one, but no, Microsoft. It wasn't PowerPoint, but Microsoft had a software that he used.
I didn't even have a computer until after I graduated college. It was like, I don't even like
Well, you still remember when they invented fire, don't you?
kind of, briefly. I have a vague recollection of it somewhere.
That's not
It was from a drunken night somewhere.
It happens.
Is that what the abacus was on your desk for?
Yes.
Outside of the podcast and everything else that we discussed already, what are you seeing, or which platform are you leaning towards that you're seeing the biggest improvements? Whether that be follows, whether it be impressions, whether it be people interacting with your content. Where are you getting the most? Is it TikTok? Because everybody's pushing TikTok. Are you still a subscriber to doing the old school stuff on Instagram? What's
You
working
got
for you
such
and
a
what's
different
not?
audience. It's got to be.
It's all about your audience. Facebook and Instagram is where
Facebook,
our
right,
main
that's what-
audience.
that's what I was gonna
main-
say,
main
okay.
audience is Facebook and Instagram.
But now, are you considering or just like dabbling in TikTok a little to try and get the younger demographic who's up and coming, interested in bowling and interested in events and interested in
So
stuff?
yeah, but I think you have to. So yes, and we dabble in it all. But you have to, again, it's where they are and what they're looking for.
Right.
And it has to be organic. So it's not necessarily because we're looking for the younger audience. You just have to build content, and whoever's going to find it's going to find it.
Right.
Because it's not necessarily the younger audience that's there. Because what's starting to happen to TikTok is essentially what happened to Facebook.
Right. Now all the grandparents are
Everybody
on it.
else
Right.
is there, right? And so, what's the next thing that they're looking for? But again, it's the swipe. It's just swipe. Everything's just swipe. It doesn't matter what your age is. Everybody's just swiping across for content. And so, we've always believed in just providing as much content you can wherever you could to the best of your ability. And so, I would just say I don't really focus necessarily on reaching that audience. It's more about if in ad placement and in that space you're spending time and energy. But if you're just going to post content, it really doesn't know. It's more about how you engage with them. But you can't so Snapchat's an example where everybody says, hey, your business got to get Snapchat. Hey, I warn against that. You could be there, but they're just there for chatting. They're not there to, you can get your ads in there, that's fine, but that's really the extent of your content because that's not where they're finding you. They're not really looking for that. They're not really looking for that.
Agree with you on this. Agree with you on Snapchat.
Yeah.
No one
and
ever talks
adults there
about
too.
it. No one ever talks about Snapchat because it's one of the most overlooked platforms. People swear by it. There's big brands, big box brands that swear by it. But personally, we don't recommend it for any of our clients. I don't know about you. Do you have any integrations? Right.
Not really, but for a minute, the newsroom was getting their biggest burst in followers from that years ago when Snapchat was really first starting to come out. But it's where younger people were getting their news with Snapchat. It was it's kind of crazy to think about, but there's still an audience there for it. People still
there's still a big audience.
Well, it's again, it's still the scrolling
It's not
audience.
something that we would create or sell for somebody, or try to produce for somebody personally, and we're the same. Facebook, Instagram's the biggest platform.
Yeah.
But if your vertical visual ads can be placed in all the platforms,
Why not?
Why not? Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And we know you're heavily invested in Threads. That platform is outperforming, right?
Oh yeah.
No one ever talks about Threads. I just wanted to throw it in.
What happened to it? What a tank.
I'm not even sure. I mean, I see now they've moved the notifications inside the Instagram app next to the username, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And I've been idiot me presses it. I'm like, I didn't follow you. I don't even know who the hell you are.
People were so excited to be like the first people on Threads.
Yep. Well, because they did that with the number, right? They made the number. And like Clubhouse. Remember Clubhouse?
I do.
Whatever happened to Clubhouse? It's supposed to be the next best thing.
Well, now Twitter then just took it and made it part of their platform. So you didn't need Clubhouse. You can create a voice room. And
It was cool, though. I was excited when I got the first invitation. I signed up for it. I got the email. I was like, yeah, I'm in Clubhouse. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm listening to people talk about nothing.
I lasted one.
What am I doing?
I lasted maybe one day.
Invite people into my house? I'm going to build a house? What am I going to do here?
build a house.
What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Who's coming to listen to me?
the metaverse, they still haven't figured
Yeah.
out. That's the other space. I'm like, although we're going to build a bowling alley in the metaverse. So
You have to.
we'll figure it out.
Just figure it out.
That's interesting.
It can be done.
Sure.
Close it down.
So, Frank, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you, everything you do in your community, your family. We really appreciate you coming down here and look forward to you coming back.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Great speaking with you. For anybody.
Although, you're not the first Wilkinson on this show.
I know.
Oh, I wasn't even going to go there. I wasn't even going to say it. You had to say it? Anybody listening, watching, looking at this content, although we're told no one's looking at it, we hope that you like, follow, share, subscribe. Visit us at m2podcast.com. I'm Anthony Rapp.
Dan
That's
Rapp.
a wrap.